I always wanted to be one step ahead of the moment. You will know if you know. You definitely will know if you know, but there's just a little bit of a perfectionism mixed in there, and also the fear of failing, and also the fear of not knowing what's next, not knowing what the plan is. And I just have never ever liked that. But guess what? I'm in my late 20s now. I really don't know what the future looks like. I still have plans, I still have hopes. Okay, the plans are a lot more flexible now, because I do understand that God is really the one who is steering this ship, but I still have dreams and I still have things that I would like to see happen for me, but I don't really know how that's going to play out in the future. And yeah, just also remember that life is not a group project. You are you and I am me, and our life story will not and cannot be the same. So you don't need to constantly be comparing yourself to your age mates. That thing will steal your joy. So enjoy other people's success and be happy for them without rushing your own process or without trying to force something to be that isn't. Don't try and force a square peg into a round hole. It will frustrate you and it will take away from what God has put you on earth for. Hi community, welcome back to A Cupful. Thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate it. I hope you're well. I hope you are taking good care of yourself. I hope you are enjoying the last few weeks of the warm weather, if you are in South Africa, that is, and if you are in the other parts of the world that are in spring at the moment. Congratulations to you. I'm very happy for you. I hope you enjoy the coming season. I don't know, I'm very in between about winter, but I do generally enjoy autumn. I love how beautiful it gets with the leaves falling on the ground and just the leaves changing color, and the weather, not so much. How early it gets dark, not so much. It's very dry and very dusty and very windy, but otherwise I am very appreciative that I can experience the coming season. And yeah, I'm grateful that I will eventually be able to experience spring and summer again. I'm sure you can hear which of all the seasons is my favorite season. But anyways, this week's episode is inspired by an ongoing trend I have seen on TikTok, as well as one specific video I came across on the same platform. So the trend is young working women, which I really love to see, sharing what their full work day looks like. Many live in their own apartments and have a car. Many often also share what a day in their life outside of work looks like. So them cleaning their apartment or getting ready to go out with their friends or boyfriend, or going to get their hair and nails done, as well as their trips to the grocery store. Some have a 9 to 5 and do content creating quite successfully on the side, and others are using their TikTok as a digital diary. And in almost all of the videos I have seen, the girls look like they are doing really well for themselves, career-wise and financially. I personally really like watching that kind of content, because seeing other women thriving, being able to afford to take care of themselves, and just stewarding their blessings well will always be something I want to see. I absolutely love it. On the flip side of that, the other video that I saw that also inspired this episode was of a 27-year-old who created a montage of her life and explained that she still lives at home. So she still lives with her parents, works a job that she doesn't actually like and doesn't even make that much from it, and she doesn't have any savings. So it wasn't a very glamorous video. It wasn't very aesthetically pleasing, but it was so nice to see something as real as that. She also went on to say that she doesn't really know what the plan is for the future when it comes to her career and finances, and that doesn't really bother her, because she will figure it out, but refuses to constantly compare herself to what other people her age have or what they are doing. And that despite her not having the material things or the big plans to execute, she is still her. And she is still whole and worth it and important. And it got me thinking, all of it. It got me thinking that I am so blessed and I'm so fortunate. I've already said on multiple occasions on the podcast that I still live at home. I still live with my mom and my siblings. I'm in my late 20s, and obviously the plans were completely different for me. I had hoped to have moved out by now, if not into my own apartment, then into a house that I would have bought. I had planned that I would have a car by now, that I would be traveling a lot more often, that I would have a lot more stability in various other areas of my life. But life hasn't turned out life hasn't turned out as I had expected it to. And I used to be so angry about it until I realized how privileged I am, how fortunate I am. I know a lot of people in their 20s are also not necessarily always moving out of home because that's something that they are prepared for financially, especially, but it is because of the situation is not ideal and it's affecting their mental health negatively. So I am so fortunate that that is not the situation for me. I'm quite at peace here at home. My mother's not rushing me to move out. She hasn't put any pressure on me, and she doesn't make the living environment difficult at all. And so I realized even more after watching that video of that 27-year-old that I am quite fortunate that I do have that luxury of, even if I were to come into a lot of money, there is no rush. I have the time to look for as long as I want to for my ideal living environment, apartment, or house, that there is no rush. I'm good. I'm in a healthy environment. I'm surrounded by lots of love and lots of support. And again, I know how lucky I am. I know how blessed I am. This is not everybody's story. So I'm so grateful that coming across that video, especially at the time that I came across it, it was a couple of weeks ago, I was in a very strange place and I was becoming very frustrated with the fact that things are not moving at my pace, that life is not happening as I would have hoped for it to happen or as I had planned for it to happen, because I did have plans to be doing something completely different, even career wise, and to be in a completely different place, but that I'm here. And yeah, it was really frustrating me. I'm not going to go into detail. My life is not horrible. I'm not suffering. I'm not on the verge of a breakdown mentally or in any other way. But obviously, when you got a plan and you want it to be executed, you will become frustrated that things are not looking how you want them to look. So that's where I was when I came across that video, and seeing it made me realize that I have so much to be grateful for. And instead of being grateful, I was spending a lot more time being angry and frustrated. So yeah, it had me thinking about that, but that wasn't all that it had me thinking about. I was just also thinking about the fact that I have been someone that has put a lot of pressure on myself to always have a plan, to always have it together, to know what I am doing, to know when I'm going to be doing it. And it has just always, always been like that for me. I have pretty much been an overachiever for a lot of my life as well. I've always wanted to be ahead of myself. I don't know if that makes any sense, but when I say ahead of myself, I mean I could never be in the moment. I always wanted to be one step ahead of the moment. You will know if you know. You definitely will know if you know, but there's just a little bit of a perfectionism mixed in there, and also the fear of failing, and also the fear of not knowing what's next, not knowing what the plan is. And I just have never ever liked that. But guess what? I'm in my late 20s now. I really don't know what the future looks like. I still have plans, I still have hopes. Okay, the plans are a lot more flexible now because I do understand that God is really the one who is steering this ship. But I still have dreams and I still have things that I would like to see happen for me. But I don't really know how that's going to play out in the future. And I've never allowed myself to get this vulnerable before with myself anyways. I've never been comfortable enough to be like, okay, I don't know what the plan is. I really don't know what is up here. I don't know what's next, but I'm here and I'm buckled up for the ride and let's go. And that's the attitude that I have towards God as well. Whenever I'm communicating with him, whenever I'm speaking to him, I'm just like, I want your will to be done in my life. I want your plans to be fulfilled in my life. I'm here to serve you. I'm here to bring glory to your name. So do your thing. You know what I mean? But it wasn't easy to get to this point. And some days do catch up to me because I'm just like, what are we doing? What's going on? You know that sound? What's going on? Like, what is up? Where are we going? What are we planning on doing next? And I just always have to remind myself that I need to release the pressure. I need to relax. I'm also in a different place mentally, spiritually. My life really is in the hands of the Lord, and God knows what he is doing when it comes to me. So yeah, I don't have it together. I don't know what is up for the future. I don't know what my career will look like in 5 years. I have no idea when I'm going to get married, when I'm going to have kids. I don't know when I'm buying my first car or my first house. I don't know when I'm going on my next international trip. And I want that for myself. I really do. But I also understand that there isn't a need to put so much pressure on myself. You don't need to put pressure on yourself. You don't need to know what is going to happen tomorrow in terms of how things are going to look. You just have to be present and be here and be able to remember the things that were happening right before your eyes. So what I'm trying to say right now is don't let the pressure of where you think you should be get in the way of you enjoying where you are right now. Even if it's not the most favorable position to be in, even if it's not where you wanted to be in the first place, you have to find a way to be present. Because one thing I've realized with not being able to be present is it will follow you everywhere for the rest of your life. You are going to struggle to be present in your career, so you won't be able to celebrate the things that you do well, that you succeed at. You are going to do it in your personal life. You're going to constantly want to be in the next moment instead of enjoying the present one, or wanting to plan and figure out the next moment and failing to be present in that very present moment, and failing to create the memories or keep the memories that you need to keep. And yeah, just also remember that life is not a group project. You are you and I am me, and our life story will not and cannot be the same. So you don't need to constantly be comparing yourself to your age mates. That thing will steal your joy. I've also mentioned this and I've spoken about it openly on the podcast, that I have been in a place before where I was just constantly comparing myself to other people that I went to high school with, that I went to university with. And I just always ask myself, what is wrong with me? Why do I not have this like somebody else does? Or why have I not achieved this the way that this person has? But you know what the truth is? I am not them. They are not me. Our lives are not supposed to look the same. And I also realize that the minute you put yourself in that position where you think like that and you invite that into your heart and into your life, you are never going to be able to appreciate your own life, your purpose, your gifts or talents, the things that the Lord blesses you with, the things that you are fortunate enough to experience. You will never be able to see the silver lining. You will never be able to see the rainbow. There will never be a light at the end of your tunnel. You are just going to constantly be miserable. And I've been there. And at some point or another, it just became too much. And I had to really, really say to myself, this is really not how we're going to live. You are not in competition with anyone else other than yourself. And even in being in competition with yourself, do it with tact, with love, with kindness. When you are competing with yourself, say to yourself, I'm not doing this to punish myself. I'm not doing this because of I dislike myself. I'm doing it because I realize that it will not be of benefit to me. So I'm trying to compete with the yesterday version of me who was doing this wrong and trying to win at doing this right, or being this kind of a person, maturing emotionally, spiritually, mentally. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, don't spend your days comparing yourself to anyone. Also, remember that your purpose or talents don't fade away or are not suddenly handed to someone else when you haven't reached a certain milestone or point at a specific age. I used to behave like God is going to snatch away the things that He has given me the ability to do. He's given them to me, and He's given them to me in a specific way. I can do whatever He has said I can do in a very unique way. So I'm going to make an example. For example, if you are someone that is pursuing medicine, or you are pursuing a degree in accountancy, or you are trying to climb the corporate ladder in whatever career field or capacity that you are trying to do that, of course, there will always be a lot of people who can do the same, but they just will not be able to do it like you. And they might be able to do it like you, but not the way that you are going to get it done. So you all can do the same thing. You all can do the same thing. Do you get what I'm saying? You can all do it. You can all do the auditing. You can all do the when you are a medical doctor, you can read the same medical jargon and apply it, and you understand what's going on, but you have that unique thing that God has put inside of you. So don't forget that. Look for that. Rather focus on looking for that and understanding that and valuing it and making sure that you become better at it. And I'm reading a book right now that says that the best way to know what your purpose is or know what your talent is to try it all out. Like, explore, experiment, and eventually you are going to come into contact, or you're going to connect with the thing that you are meant to be doing, or you're going to connect with how you are meant to be doing whatever you are doing. So you are not going to lose your capabilities or your talents just because you haven't reached this at 30 or this at 25. I promise you that that's not how life works. So don't be afraid. Don't operate from a place of scarcity. The book that I was talking about is called The Purpose Driven Life by Rick Warren. And at the beginning of one of the chapters, he says, God deserves your best. He shaped you for a purpose, and He expects you to make the most of what you have been given. He doesn't want you to worry or covet abilities you don't have. Instead, He wants you to focus on talents He has given you to use. And that is exactly what I was saying. Don't go looking at what other people have or what they are doing and how they are doing it and try and copy that. Don't be someone that copies and pastes. Understand that you are in that field that you are in for a reason. Understand that you have the talent that you have for a reason. And although there might be 50,000 DJs in the country, there might be 100,000. I'm sure there's more than that. They are not you. And so you have to find that thing that makes you you, that will make you stand out. And be open. Also, just keep an open heart, because that's another thing that will close you off to really stepping into your greatness, to stepping into what you are meant to be doing, is a closed heart and not believing that certain things are possible. So just focus on your talents, focus on what you are meant to be doing, experiment. No one just wakes up suddenly one day and knows exactly what they are meant to be doing, how and why. And sometimes you will never know the why. And sometimes it's not going to end up looking the way that you had imagined that it would look. And that is something that life is really teaching me. That's something that God is teaching me, that it's not always going to look like how I want it to look. When I was in university, I had a completely different idea of what I was going to be doing. I thought I would be a diplomat, or that I'd be doing political consultancy, because a lot of the things that I focused on and that I studied had to do with was politics. And I was absolutely just besotted. I was in love with the subject. I was in love with the various opportunities that could come out of it. And I just had a passion and desire to learn more about politics and understand the jargon and understand everything about it as much as I possibly could. And that's what I thought that I would be doing right now. But that hasn't at all been what life has looked like. I have been exploring so many different fields, doing the same kind of work though. And when I tell you that as unexpected it has been the best thing ever. I've learned so much. I've grown so much. I have so much experience. I have so many different skills. And I realized that if I open my heart more and more, I'm going to benefit so much from where God is putting me. And if there's something that I believe, it's that God is the one that is putting me where He is putting me. And He is the one that is exposing me to the things that He's exposing me to. And I'm not trying to miss the moment. I'm not trying to miss the lesson. So I'm very open to it. So keep an open mind, keep an open heart, and just remember again that these are your talents. And these are the things that God is wanting to use you for, to do His work through. So don't take it for granted and don't take it lightly. I've mentioned it already, but I just wanted to say it again. Don't compare yourself to others. Stop trying to be someone that you're not. Learn to understand, value, and appreciate what God has created you to be. Not who other people think you are, not who other people say you should be, but who you actually are and are meant to be. Now, while I really absolutely do respect and can appreciate and love that there are girls who are in corporate, love that there are girls who are doctors and lawyers and just content creators, and they're making good money, and there are people doing many other things and they're doing really well for themselves. I just want to remind you that you shouldn't let money and material be the driving force of the decisions you make in life. Looking at other people and seeing how good they live and desiring that for yourself, there's nothing wrong. But trying to be them or follow the same route as them, even if it's not something that you're drawn to, that's really only going to make you miserable in the end. So enjoy other people's success and be happy for them without rushing your own process or without trying to force something to be that isn't. Don't try and force a square peg into a round hole. It will frustrate you and it will take away from what God has put you on earth for. As Rick Warren says, the best use of your life is to serve God out of your shape. To do this, you must discover your shape, learn to accept and enjoy it, and then develop it to the fullest potential. So it's great to desire to live soft, to be comfortable financially, to live in a nice space, to drive a nice car. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that, but I am saying don't try and force a career that isn't meant for you just because you are after money and material. Don't try and force being a corporate girly when you just are not that. And if you are making the decision to follow a certain career field solely based on the fact that you want money and to live comfortably, that might become a problem in the future because you don't actually enjoy it. You don't enjoy your job, so there isn't really any longevity or sustainability. So just be mindful of that. Another thing that will really, really take away from your life experiences, I am learning through my own experiences, is to try and be someone that you are not. There isn't a need to ever try and become something that you are not, or someone that you are not, because you want to fit in, or because that's who other people say you should be. Girl, absolutely don't do it. You're taking so much away from yourself. You are taking so much away from yourself. I actually like to see it as stealing from yourself and making yourself happy. Like when I look at it, it just comes across to me as stealing from myself, stealing my happiness, stealing my peace, and making myself unhappy because I want to make other people happy. That's something I used to do a lot when I was trying to please other people and trying to keep them in my life. I was being someone that I wasn't, and I was trying really hard to prove to people that I'm worth it, that you should give me a chance and you'll see that I'm worth it. I can prove it to you. And sometimes proving to the other person meant becoming the complete opposite of who I am as Tsegezo. So it's not worth it. Don't steal from yourself. Don't live an unfulfilled and unhappy life. Make sure that you are, just be who you are and be comfortable with that, and allow God to continue to shape you and change you accordingly. In his book, Rick Warren says one of life's frustrations is that God's timetable is rarely the same as ours. We are often in a hurry when God isn't. You may feel frustrated with the seemingly slow progress you're making in life. Remember that God is never in a hurry, but he is always, always on time. He will use your entire lifetime to prepare you for your role here and in eternity. And if you believe in that, then that's something that you believe in. If you don't, then you don't. And that's fine. But as someone who does believe in God and does believe in Christianity, I am 100% of the belief that each and everything that happens in my life is for a reason, and that I need to keep an open heart, open mind, and be teachable. And that just because it's moving slowly doesn't mean that it's not moving at all. And just because it's not happening the way that I want it to happen, it's not happening according to my timelines or my time frames, it doesn't mean that it will never happen. We are all different, as I have mentioned. We all have different purposes to serve. Our talents and abilities are going to be used for different things here on earth. And one thing that I don't want to do is to go into spaces, to do things that are meant to honor the Lord, to experience certain things without the maturity. I don't want that for myself, and I don't want that for other people, because at the end of the day, your blessings, your gifts, your talents are meant to be used to serve the Lord and to serve others. And if you are not ready yet, you are going to destroy it. You're going to ruin everything. So that's why I always pray and ask God for wisdom, and I ask him for a patient heart. I ask that he would bestow upon me patience, and that he would just help me to wait. Because sometimes I might feel like I'm ready for something, but I'm not. And I have gone into things thinking that I'm ready, and I wasn't. And I ended up ruining them. So I've learned my lesson, and I understand the significance of maturity and growth. And if things must move at a slower pace so that God's glory can be done and his will can be done, then so be it. And if that means that the more mature I am, the better I can serve, and the more I can do in whichever capacity that I have been tasked with, then I'm completely fine with that. And I hope that you can get to a place where you understand that just because your life is not moving like your fellow peers' lives, or like someone who you really admire, that you really revere, doesn't mean that it's not going to happen for you. And it also doesn't mean that just because it happened in that specific way for them, it is going to happen in that specific way for you. Again, we are all different. we all have different callings, different purposes, different talents, capabilities, and that's just that. So yeah, please just let God cook. And if you're someone who is not of the Christian faith and you don't believe in God, I'm going to say to you that just wait, be patient, let life happen as it should. Don't try and force things, don't try and rush things, don't ever forget that you are you, and that is enough. You are unique and important and valuable. It doesn't matter whether you have bought your first apartment at 25 or whether you're only going to do it when you're 40. It doesn't matter that you have 5 rands or a negative 5 rands balance in your bank account, or whether you have 500,000 rands. It doesn't matter whether you're making 6 figures or whether you are making no figures or whether you are making 4 figures. It really does not matter. Whether you're making 5, it doesn't matter. Just know that you still have a purpose, you still have a thing that you need to fulfill here on earth, and you shouldn't rush the process. Don't rush the process. Do not rush the process. Things will happen for you when they should. Yeah, this is where we're ending this week's episode. Thank you so much for joining me. I really, really do appreciate it. I hope that you had a good time. I hope this was valuable. I hope that I reminded you of some things that you needed to be reminded of. Please, please, please don't forget that if you are wanting to put anyone on to the podcast, can encourage them to head over onto TikTok. The handle is at a cupful pod if they just want to test the waters first, or otherwise you can just send them a link via WhatsApp. We can tell them that they can listen to the podcast on all listening platforms, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Google Podcast. Have a beautiful remainder of the week. Rest when you need to, work when you need to, be good to yourself, be kind to yourself, remind yourself how proud you are of yourself, be grateful for where you are in this life, and be excited for where you are going. Say nice things to yourself and say nice things to other people as well. And most importantly, don't forget to keep doing the things that fill your cup.